Helmwood is a sawmill, wood shop, and lumberyard all rolled up in one. So what this means is that they can literally do everything for you. A few months ago, I stopped by Helmwood to use some of their giant monsters of equipment to help me with flattening a couple pieces. And by request, I went back to do a full tour of their operation. This house is actually their sawmill operation. It's where Jason, the owner, started Helmwood. It really is just a regular house, but behind it is a nice chunk of land with lots of big machines. In the front yard, you will typically see mounds of logs waiting to be processed. We happened to get there on a lighter day, so there weren't too many up front. Over to the right are stacks of logs and cookies, all cut nicely stacked with sticklers in between them. All of these are being air dried, and sticklers allow for airflow between them. When the pieces are ready for the next step, the team will move them over to the kiln to be dried even further. Before we get to that though, let's take a walk down to the right side of the house. Here is our first sawmill machine. It's one of the two sawmills they have on site. This one can handle logs up to 34 inches in diameter, and this one can handle logs up to 54 inches in diameter. Despite its impressive size though, the smaller of the two has a lot of functionality that the bigger one doesn't have, including but not limited to the ability to rotate and level the log pneumatically. Since I have one ready to go, they were kind enough to give us a demonstration. Now, so far we've seen how they cut the logs and also how they air dry them. The next step in their process would be to move them into the kiln. And around the corner of their first sawmill are two vacuum kilns working around the clock. These eye-dry kilns are a specific kind of hybrid vacuum kiln that's not only able to create a vacuum, it can leave a little bit of air in the chamber. The purpose for the air is for it to act as the heating element, rather than another medium such as an aluminum plate. This continuous vacuum system allows the moisture in the wood to evaporate at a lower temperature, which keeps the wood in a stronger stage. And because of the vacuum pressure, these machines are able to draw moisture from the core and move it outwards towards its shell. All of this essentially speeds up the drying time without harming the wood. What would normally take a handful of months to a year in a traditional kiln will now only take a couple of weeks. So once the lumber is ready and is taken out of the kiln, they are then transferred over to their production site to get flattened and processed. Before we head over there though, we're going to take one more look at the last area of this location, inside the house. Inside is actually a showroom. The moment you walk in from the front door, you'll see some products that are theirs to exclusively sell, as well as some of their pieces scattered about. After taking a few more steps, you'll actually reach a room with some beautiful slabs all leaned up against a wall or on a display stand. All of these are for sale, and not only will you see a lot of local species of wood like their absolute favorite of live oak, you'll also find some domestic ones too. I don't know if it was the type of wood species they had on display or if it was just that it was in a homey environment with lots of sunlight, but walking through this area made me feel as if I was taking a stroll through a winery. With the sawmill location out of the way, it's time to check out their production house. Before we start looking at the machines though, let's first check out a warehouse that sits next to the production building. All the slabs or lumber pieces that need further processing after the kiln stage will go here. And almost everything in this toasty warehouse is waiting their turn to become cleaned up. Back in the production building are lots of giant toys. The ripsaw machine, the two-sided planer, a massive sliding table saw, a machine with pattern cutters for molding and flooring, beautiful giant wide bell sander, and a machine to flatten slabs. If you're familiar with woodworking, all of these machines should be pretty self-explanatory. They're just really giant and efficient versions of them. In the middle of the production house is the kids area. Just kidding, they're all legitimate machines. But in this gigantic space, and after seeing all the beasts in the other room, everything here just looks tiny. They have the space though to do detail work. Not everything will require it, but every now and then I'm sure they come in handy. And finally, we reached the last portion of the house. This area is the panel glue up, other glue up, resin pouring, and all the other final touch stage processes. And that, my friends, is a Helmwood Sawmill tour. Hello and welcome to today's post-show hangout session. Thank you so much for tuning in to the end. I have been very hard at work recently. Not only have I been finishing up the 10 to 12 person dining table, I've also been continuing to work on all the interviews with woodworkers and artists from Korea. So yes, those are all on the way. And I also do have an interview that I got to do with Jason, who is the owner of Helmwood. In our conversation, we talked about how he got started as well as what Helmwood has to offer. The last thing I have been hard at work on recently is my Patreon group. I have been updating my tiers, and now starting at the second tier and above, I will be sending you a little gift. It's gonna take me a little bit more time to get that going, but I'm super excited to be starting this, as well as our new monthly hangouts on the first Monday of every month. That being said, I do want to give a big shout out to my newest members, Eric, Ezil, Casey, and James. Thank you all very much. And if you are interested in supporting my channel for as little as a cup of coffee, you too can contribute and help this channel grow. Thank you all again, happy woodworking, and peace out.